Hi, this is Randy Randall of No Age and host of the podcast Hyphenate with Randy Randall. I want to welcome our newest sponsor of the show, DistroKid. DistroKid helps musicians get their music on all the major streaming platforms, and artists keep 100% of their royalties. Hyphenate listeners get 30% off at distrokid.com/VIP/hyphenate. Again, that's distrokid.com/VIP/HYPHENATE. Go get your music streaming everywhere now.
Aberdeen there's nothing there, you know. It's even worse now. There's even more of nothing there.
What's happening? Thanks so much for tuning in to Hyphenate with me, Randy Randall. This is our show for the week of Thursday, September 12th. How is everybody doing? Almost midway through September. I am doing great. I am what's the best way to say it? I'm beside myself, I think is the appropriate euphemism or metaphor. On today's show, I am, like I said, beside myself. I'm humbled. I'm honored to welcome the one and only Mr. Dale Crover from the Megalith band of the Melvins, drummer extraordinaire. It was really a dream. It was a funny one. I think I'd mentioned, maybe I had mentioned here on the pod. Several friends of Dale have been past guests on the show. Toshi Kasai, who does engineering and recording duties and also plays in the Dale Crover Band, is a good friend of Dale's, and then as well as Dave Scott Stone, who was a member of the Melvins, was also good friends of Dale, and Conan Neutron as well. The Dale's a recording member of the Conan Neutron and his Secret Friends band. All three of them were so nice and so sweet to say, "You got to talk to Dale. You got to talk to Dale," and they would connect me to Dale's very patient and understanding PR person. And and she would graciously like, "Oh, you again? Okay, I see this." So she said, once he had a new solo record coming out. She's like, "Okay, we'll set up an interview around the new record, which is called Glossolalia, and it's out now, or out tomorrow, on Joyfull Noise. And so you can go to joyfullnoiserecordings.com to buy your own hot pink vinyl and digital, as well as CD bundles or just straight digital. Limited edition looks like it's sold out. There's a hand-numbered 500 copies. Those went fast. I think those are pre-ordered. But still, get your own copy of this amazing, incredible record. You can also go to Bandcamp. Let's see, what is the correct Bandcamp? It is dalecrover.bandcamp.com. And you can also order and stream and, do all the things you do with records. But I highly recommend it. It's an incredible record. I got the chance to hear it early, and I really love, the kind of pop production and just the, the overall sonic gooiness of this record. I think it's really it's really awesome. It's a scorcher. It's a burner. I think it's a little heavier than the past Dale Crover Band records, and that's fun. It's fun to hear Dale give his own heaviness, as well as bringing along, the pop sensibilities and everything else that kind of goes into his creative hopper. But yeah, it was an honor to talk to Dale. I mean, Dale has a long history and story, and I was really unsure of my own interviewing capabilities. Like I said, he is friends of friends, so I felt very familiar and comfortable speaking with him. But I also, through looking through the Wikipedia and history and doing any kind of half-assed internet research, you see like Dale grew up with Kurt Cobain from Nirvana, was in, basically in Nirvana. And not basically, he was the drummer of Nirvana on several recordings that would, later get released, and demos, and, was obviously a close friend. And there was the urge to ask about Nirvana questions. But I'm also thinking, like, Dale doesn't want to talk about Nirvana. I'm sure that's every interview he's ever done. Some asshole like me asking, "So what was it like growing up with Kurt Cobain?" Like, that's pretty cool, right? Okay. So, well, we touch on it briefly, the clip at the top. He talks about growing up in Aberdeen and how there's more of nothing there now. And, we get into a little bit in the interview, but yeah, it's a funny one. I definitely felt like I was blowing it as an interviewer, not asking about the 600-pound gorilla in the room. But I think that being said, Dale is obviously worthy of his own interview without having to talk about Nirvana questions. However, I think I'm come from the generation where Nirvana was such a game changer that I'd be an asshole saying that I didn't think about it, or at least, it wasn't going on through my head and questioning it. So a little bit of background there, but Dale was super nice and took time out of his schedule. It looked like that he was in Airbnb with his band getting ready to rehearse and practice, getting ready for their tour dates. He's also going to be out on the road with Redd Kross. He has become the drummer of record for Redd Kross for the last tour they just did with fellow Melvins bandmate Stephen McDonald, who I also had on the show. I feel very fortunate. There's all these great friends and connections, and I've been a Melvins fan for years, but never really met the band. We'd cross each other in festivals and things like this and kind of, bump into each other, but never really had a proper, conversation. And it always seemed like they were like the older brothers that were just busy and didn't really, at least in my point of view, I'm like, I don't want to bother these people. I feel like I have that mentality 99% of the time when meeting anybody whose music I really like. It's like, oh, that's them. They're over there. Well, I don't want to bother them. So this podcast gives me a good reason to bother my heroes, and I would count Dale among those many heroes, and just what an incredible output. I mean, gosh damn, the Melvins for decades have put out singularly unique, hyperbolic, crushing music. They really are, I think, a cultural force. And if anything too, as I enter this part of my life, I just realized like the Melvins are unstoppable. They've really become this kind of never-ending churning machine that they've gotten really good at it. They're good at being the Melvins, and they've been doing it for so long at such a high level, and it's inspiring. Not even just on a musical level, but I just think as like a person level and a band level, and being able to just keep keeping it on. So I really appreciate and really respect Dale so much, but I appreciate him taking the time out of his busy schedule to come on here and chop it up with me a little bit. Don't forget, go to distrokid.com/VIP/hyphenate to get your discount when putting your new music up. I mean, yeah, it's incredible, right? I mean, here's Dale playing drums in one of, the biggest bands in alternative music, heavy music, sludge music, whatever you want to call it. I think they invented their own genre. And, he decided, hey, I want to play guitar. I like writing songs too, and flex a muscle. If that doesn't inspire you to switch up instruments, write a whole record, go to distrokid.com, put your record up there, and share your songs with the world. Everybody can do it. All right. Thank you again, Dale. I appreciate it. Thank you for all the friends who worked so hard to put us in touch. I appreciate it. And without further ado, here's the interview. Dale, welcome to Hyphenate. Thanks so much for taking the time in between the tours. Is a busy time of year for you right now.
Exactly, yeah. We just finished up the Redd Kross tour and at a big homecoming show here in Los Angeles. It was great. It was sold out. It was fun.
Super fun.
And yeah.
That was cool.
And and now I've jumped right into rehearsing with my band, and we're getting ready to do some shows in California.
Excellent. That's incredible. I don't know how far this has gotten to you, but I think we have a few friends in common, and they've all been nice enough to say, "Oh, you got to talk to Dale." And I'd run into another friend like, "Oh, we got to talk to Dale." And I was like, at some point, I'm like, I feel so bad for the Monica. I was like, I feel like I'm coming across like a stalker. I was like, guys, stop bothering Monica. Like, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. But we come to this meeting here with a lot of fun friends. Like, what? Like, have you ever talked to Dale? You got to meet Dale. I'm like, oh,
nice.
I would love to. So Dave, I think Dave Stone was the first to recommend.
Oh yeah, Dave.
I've known Dave for years.
Oh,
music and
right,
stuff
right.
through the smell and
He
stuff.
he told me about you.
Yeah, I think he was texting. I was like, I really don't want. I mean, and I'm a fan. I'm a fan of the Melvins and of your music, and so I was like, really, like, I'm like, don't bother the guy. It's okay. Like, if it happens, it happens. And then Toshi, who I mentioned, I live in
Oh,
I live
right,
in the
yeah.
Sunland area, Sunland Tahunga
Yeah,
area,
cool.
not far from his studio. And then Conan Neutron, who also works with Toshi there, and has
Oh,
a
yeah.
podcast, is obviously a podcast, emperor of his own right. He recommended it.
Exactly.
I think when he was just doing a session with the Australian band, Death. Is that right?
Oh, yeah, yes.
Yeah.
That's right, yeah.
And he was
They came in the studio.
yeah.
They came in the studio while I was there.
Yeah, he was trying to get me to come down. I literally live like 10 minutes from there, closer to the Sizzler, right off the freeway.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We've been here about 12 years. And so he's like, you got to come over. And I was giving my kids, I have 2 kids. I was giving them a bath. I was like, I got my hands full. I can't go. I'm a family man now.
Good excuse.
If someone had told me, 30 years ago, like, you're going to call to go see Dale Crover in the studio, I would have dropped everything to do that. But, here, such is life.
Now when you have kids.
Years. Yeah. In the middle of bath time and putting them to bed. When a 5-year-old needs to go to bed, he needs to go to bed. So my responsibility is called. But it's great to finally meet you. It's a real pleasure.
Yeah, nice to meet you too.
So like we said, yeah, you're never. Is there a time you're ever not busy? I mean, you're in between these 2 tours right now, but it seems like that's been par for the course for the last 40 years. Has there ever been
pretty much? I mean, besides that thing that happened a few years ago, no.
Oh, right. Yes. Well, that'll give everybody an extra time off.
We won't mention it. Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, but even during that, we tried to do something.
Oh, yeah.
We had
live streams.
Like our own. Yeah, I mean, we saw that people were doing like live streams in their house, and like, that looks crappy. Let's do something kind of interesting rather than have it being like, we're going to play a concert in our house. So that's what we came up with. We'll do a Melvins TV show type of thing, rather than like a concert,
Yeah.
And it was fitting for us, I guess. Kind of goofy, and it seemed like people liked it. So, and then we could do multiple ones rather than just one.
Right. Right. Would you shoot them all at the same time, and then?
No, they come out like a couple months apart or whatever.
Gotcha.
We did like 3 or 4 of them.
But did you do it all at once? Like you shot them all at once? No, you took time. Okay, that's great.
Yeah,
that's fun.
Yeah,
we'll be able to keep busy through the times.
And then usually like winter time, we usually we're not touring, but we usually try to record or something like that.
Yeah.
So I mean, try to keep busy.
It seems like the work ethic of the band is obviously a reflection of the members and just its prolificness doesn't just happen. It seems like that's a choice between you and Buzz that you seem to stay fairly
pretty much.
Yeah.
Well, we don't want to have day jobs. Plus, what are we qualified for anyway?
Yeah.
Manager at the Burger King. Probably not even that.
Yeah. So we got it. There's a literal work to it. As long as you're writing and you're touring, then the money's coming in, and you keep the day job away.
Exactly. Yeah. We were never one to rest on our laurels either.
No. Obviously. Yeah.
And just keep going.
It's incredible. And then at the same time, just in my cursory half-assed internet research, I saw that you've been playing guitar and bass from early days as well. You're not did you start out specifically to be a drummer, or was it just an all-around kind of music thing? How did that?
No, I'm a guitar player that wanted to play drums, that wants to play guitar.
So guitar was first.
Guitar was first. Yep. Yeah. I started guitar when I was probably 8. At the Aberdeen Public Library.
Really? Why the library?
Taking because they had free lessons.
Okay. Yeah.
I think they were free. I'm not sure. I didn't pay for them. I know that. Maybe my mom did, but
yeah.
It wouldn't have been too much. I think it was probably like a free class.
Yeah.
And I remember the guy. I remember learning like my first song was "Hush Little Baby," which I demonstrated the other night at the Redd Kross show. Told everybody, like, look, I'm really a guitar player.
Check this out. Yeah, first song I learned at 8.
And then the second one was everybody's favorite, "Kumbaya," which when you're playing acoustic guitar, of course you got to play that song.
I'm sure that kept you popular at campouts and anywhere there was a campfire. You could bring out a kumbaya on the acoustic.
Yeah. So, but I don't know. It was only a few years later that I was like really got interested in drums and then just pursued that, And I'm not sure why, if it's because I didn't really know rock songs or really have anybody to teach me, or if I just had like a crappy, cheap nylon acoustic guitar that was hard to play, or what. So, I mean, I'd already, even as a young kid, I was always interested in drum. Well, both. So
yeah.
So I just did this. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was going to ask. I mean, what were your parents' reactions to that? I mean, a nylon acoustic guitar is somewhat manageable, volume-wise, around the house. And then when you said, "Actually, I want to try drums," how did that go over?
Yeah, I'm not sure if they really realized what they were in for. But they were okay with it. They supported it, so that was great.
What was your first kit?
My first kit I bought with my own paper route, which was like a 60s Pearl drum kit. I don't know what model it was or anything like that. It was pretty old even for then.
That's great. I'm trying to think if I can. You can't see the kit behind. You can't see the kit behind me here, but let's see. It looks like it's something. I think this is like maybe a 70s kind of Ringo looking sort of Pearl.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'd bring it closer, but I don't know. It's the drummer from the band I'm in, No Age. He's had that kit forever.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I think actually I looked online not too long ago to see if I could find it, and I think I saw one that was pretty close.
Oh, that's cool.
It's much nicer than the one I had.
Are they still reasonably priced, or has that become a collector's position?
They're a little bit more money than they were.
Yeah.
Drum stuff has kind of come up a little bit.
Yeah.
But still not compared to guitars. Guitars are so crazy.
What a wild world, right? I mean, I've gone around the horn quite a few times, and it's like, is it inflation? Is it, like it can't be necessarily even popularity, because you just think about I don't know how they justify some of the prices and just where it goes up. It seems like they're probably selling less and less guitars every year, and so the prices just go up and up.
Yeah, but then I was just talking to Dan, the guy who plays bass in my solo band. Mm-hmm. He was talking about like some guitar store he walked into that he realized that he was supposed to have an appointment for, and they're like, "Do you have an appointment?"
Oh no,
no.
It's become bespoke.
They decided to let him in anyway, but he's like, it's some place fancy place where you went in and you sat on these couches and they brought you guitars,
like a cigar shop or a wine shop.
Yes, like tasting a vintage wine. This is a 1955 Les Paul Gold Top.
That sounds like the perfect
nerdy nerd.
Yeah, like cork sniffing. What's that, like blues lawyer or blues dentist? Perfect.
Would you like to smell the case?
Yes. I mean, that's yeah. I mean, there's a whole. I guess that is a new sort of class of guitar connoisseurs. But the best part about that is most of those gentlemen are of a certain age, and then all of that stuff will go to the kids, which will then become devalued. I've noticed this trend over the years too, where it's just like the kids inherit, these 50s Les Pauls,
the guitar that they don't care about.
Yeah, and then they go, well, because part of the investment portfolio, it's part of the here we go.
I mean, yeah, they're kind of, I can kind of see that. I mean, sorry, one second, I'm just gonna turn off this. I'm getting alerts, and I wanted to turn off my. Fuck it, I can't do it.
Okay.
Oops, did I just mute myself?
No, you're good.
Okay. Yeah. Wouldn't you say, Dan, that's sort of an investment for you? All your guitars that you bought at these fancy guitar shops?
Pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, that's what I tell my wife. I tell my wife it's an investment. Meanwhile, the reality is
he's got all the fancy guitars, but all my guitars are relatively cheap.
I love a cheap guitar.
Me too. I mean, like the acoustic guitar I just played on tour was like a $350 Epiphone Hummingbird.
Perfect. Because you lean it up against an amp, you walk away, and you're not sweating. If you get more than 5 feet away from it, I love being able to lean a guitar up on something, and if it falls, and it's not the end of the world.
Right. I do have a Les Paul Gold Top 57 reissue that I'm going to tour with, but. Dan is like, maybe you shouldn't tour with that. I'm like, well, that means I have to buy another guitar.
Yeah, but it's also you want to play the guitar too. There's that little spot in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, maybe
Yeah,
you get a
exactly.
nice you bring a guitar stand with you. Maybe you're not leaning it. Maybe that's warranted.
It has a
$12
stand, but I mean,
Okay.
it's more like having it, disappear. So.
Right. Well, I mean, you've been doing this for so many years. I mean, has that happened? I've never seen the big Melvins gear got stolen story. I mean, you seem to have stayed ahead of the
No,
ghost.
we
Knock on
probably
wood.
Exactly. I mean, I don't know that we would publicize that anyway.
Right.
That
makes sense.
Um,
Well, there's usually a call for it. You
I mean,
see this gear out there, and they have the serial numbers, and people look in pawn shops and try to find things.
Yeah, usually.
Yeah. Well. Yeah, I know.
No, luckily we haven't had too much bad luck as far as that goes.
Yeah. I know the band I play in. We've always toured in like minivans and parking at cheap hotels and things. We just kind of look like soccer moms. We try to not publicize that we have a back full of Marshalls and guitars in there. Just some sleeping bags.
I know. I mean,
very, very low key. That seems to be the way to do it. If you're not stoned, off your ass and leaving the back door, the back door, stage door open, and someone's always got an eyeball on it. More or less, you can keep your head about you. But who knows? But again, that being said, knock on wood, it can happen to anybody.
Right. But, well, when we're touring, we usually get out of town.
That's the best.
I mean, I know a lot of bands that have had their stuff stolen have been because they
stayed the block away from the studio or from the
and somebody followed them. Somebody followed them. It's like, okay, if you want to follow us a couple 100 miles, be my guest.
Well, you usually get better rates that way.
Let's see you do it.
Yeah. That's hard. Exactly. There's certain towns you just know, like, okay, well, we're not staying here. Like, let's play the show and drive a few hours out because then it's more affordable and it's more comfortable. Yeah.
Exactly. But even when we get in the middle of nowhere, somebody working there is always like, are you guys in a band?
Like, nope.
No.
But
we're traveling insurance salesmen.
Just divorced dad's depression convention in town. This is all we're doing here.
Exactly.
Nothing to see here. Plumbing. So as a hyphenate, I mean, it seems obviously, yes, you starting with guitar and moving to drums, that it was sort of, you were a jack of all trades, but the guitar output seems like it's really, it has been ramped up in the last 20 years with Altamont and moving and then into the solo band. Like where was guitar in your life previous to that? Like how would you sort of interact on the guitar?
Well, all my money was spent on drums, so I didn't really have a good guitar until, I mean, I didn't buy my first electric guitar until after the first Melvins tour where we made money.
Okay, yeah.
It's probably about 1989, 90.
What guitar was that?
I came home and I bought a Gibson S1 for $250 from a church.
Awesome.
I really wanted a Mustang, but like at the time, like they were like wanting too much money for them.
Wow.
I think it was Mudhoney's fault. Seriously, like all of a sudden, like there was an interest in Mustangs. There was this guitar store in San Francisco called Real Guitars. Okay. Hey Dan, is that still there?
No, it went out.
Oh wow, it's gone.
Oh.
So, well, it's funny. Oh, I got a story about that. But anyway, like I remember like this Mustang down there, but they wanted too much money and it was kind of crappy. So I'm like, Then I almost bought like an Epiphone. There are these weird like Telecaster Epiphones with like hockey stick necks, almost like
almost hammers.
Almost like I almost bought one of those, but then I found the S1. I'm like, oh, this is really cool.
The S1 is almost like the Sonex. Is that what they called those? It was kind of like a Les Paul, but
kind of. It was a wood grain body, and it was like like a mid '70s Gibson that had like had Bill Lawrence pickups in it. Yep. These weird coated lucite pickups that were cool. It was like this weird 3-way switch, and like a flying V headstock.
Yep.
Now those are worth some money, which I was kind of surprised, but because at the time people were just like, oh, those are just like crappy.
Oh, that's so funny.
Crappy guitars.
I bought a Challenger from a pawn shop in Chicago, I don't know, 15 years ago. Did you ever see they were like a bolt-on, sort of real thin Les Paul looking things, like almost like a gold metal flake kind of thing. It was fun. It was a bit of a shredder. It was real flat, maple neck kind of thing, and then I just sat on the shelf. Then I kind of got bored with it.
Yeah,
I passed it on to a kid that had a thrash band. I listed it for sale, and he came in. He was so stoked to find it. It was like period correct and everything for what he was going for. I was like, yes,
that's funny.
Belongs with you. Yeah.
Well, I've still got the S1, so I have a hard time getting rid of guitars. And I even still have the like.
Let's see.
I basically
that
started.
shelf over there. I'm showing off the.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I kept a few, but every once in a while, there's the ones who need love. They need to live in a house that's going to play them. If I'm not playing it for too long.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Sorry, what were you saying?
So I pretty much keep everything.
Keep everything.
I was just saying, like not long after that, I bought an amp.
Oh, okay.
And then I'm like, well, okay, maybe I'll start a band. And so I did. I started Altamont with my buddy Dan and Joey Osborne.
Awesome. And that was when you were San Francisco based, Altamont?
Yeah. I think we played our first show in '94. Is that right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. 94 at the Chameleon, Dan says.
How fun. Yeah, 90s San Francisco seems like a world apart from where it is now, obviously, but a real kind of interesting creative place. Like what drew you there rather than, Seattle, Portland, Northwest? Why come down as far as San Francisco?
I mean, our record label was there. We wouldn't record our first record there, and the people that were involved in the label were in this band called Clown Alley, and which two of those members were future and then former bass players of the Melvins. So, and Buzz became involved with Lori Black, who was in that band and then in our band.
Okay.
And he ended up moving down there, and then I ended up following him down there. So, I mean, we kind of thought of moving to Seattle, but it was almost kind of like there really wasn't anything going on there before we left. There was hardly any place to play. There was only a few places to play in town, and San Francisco seemed cool and someplace different. And, just being from Washington as well, it's like getting out of the place you grew up in.
Yeah.
Aberdeen there's nothing there, It's even worse now. There's even more of nothing there. Or less of nothing. I'm not sure how you phrase that.
But. Yeah, but less of nothing, more of, yeah, right, that sounds right. Yeah. Double negative.
I'm not sure which one would be, yeah, correct. But
yeah. There's a large statue which seems to draw attention in the town square.
What a beautiful statue it is.
Yeah, well, on tour we took the sidetrack to see it and go, okay, yeah.
Did you?
We did.
I haven't seen it.
I would understand why not. Yeah. I mean, I'm a fan of many rock and roll statues. I mean, with the Phil Lynott one in Dublin is always worth a selfie every time we're in the
That's
town.
A good one.
But,
yeah.
It's apples and oranges, I think. There's supposed to be a great I Love Lucy one somewhere, I think in Jamestown and in Connecticut or something, at the Comedy Museum, with like very large defined like chiclet like teeth. The Henry Winkler one. I mean, you do enough of these tours, eventually, you got to make time to go see the sights, or else you just live on the highway.
Exactly.
Yeah.
On this last tour, we went to the Andy Warhol Museum.
Oh, so. Wow, that's great. That's in Pennsylvania, in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, yeah.
Yeah,
that's cool. That's exciting. I know. What have we done? Yeah, we usually find ourselves in art museums whenever possible. That's a nice way to kill time. We did Madison, just outside of Madison. There's like the toilet. The toilet heiress. There was a big family. Coles, is that right? Coles. Those are the toilet people. I think they have the generational wealth, right? And so, but they have like a found art museum or outsider art museum that they've based up there. I'm spacing on the name of it, but this woman, the matriarch of the family, would literally go and buy houses or shacks or garages of these outside artists and all the artwork in there, and then she has like a 4-story airplane hangar sized warehouse, and then she would recreate these people's houses or shacks or garages inside this hangar museum of type.
Oh, that's crazy!
Amazing. The name will pop in my head, but we did this on the last tour, and it was great. And it was the kind of thing, we went to the main museum, and they said, "Oh, well, you got to go see the warehouse," and we're like, "Oh, cool, we got an hour or two," and they're like, "No, you're not going to see like a tenth of it in that time, but you still have to go see it." But we're like, "Well, we're pretty fast." We're like, no, it's not going to work that way. And literally you walk in and it's a cabinet of curiosities of like 1,000 pinheads, dolls made on pinheads.
Wow.
Just like, and you're just staring. And then the next one, you go to the next, and you're like, I've only gone 20 feet and it's been 2 hours. Like, it's just the density of material and just creativity. And it's huge. We kind of did our best to run through it, but it was really one of those like places. If you're ever up, that was the High Noon Saloon. Is that the Madison?
Oh yeah,
Big
yeah.
venue, yeah. That's not too far from there. I think we were able
Oh, cool.
to get up to that place if you're into that kind of stuff. But it's a lot of fun.
I was hoping I was hoping you were going to say it was a toilet museum.
The toilet, but for the toilet, but yeah, because I was trying to understand, like all of these things, like, well, where does this money come from? How does anybody have the money to do this kind of these lavish things? And then I think it had something to do with toilets. Is the last thing I could remember.
Somebody was telling me that House on the Rock is some crazy thing like that too.
Ooh, where's that at? Is it a Texas
I've never
thing?
been. I'm trying to think of where that is. That almost sounds like a Wisconsin thing as well, but I'm not sure.
It's great. Yeah, I
guess it's some crazy, insane museum.
Sounds awesome. Yeah, there has to be there's like a touring musician sort of underground, sort of like what the heavy metal parking lot was, but then just like a running list of fun museums to see outside of major cities. Right. We did Marfa once, or no, we've done Marfa twice, and that was worth it. It's a drive. But
yeah, I've always wanted to do that one.
That's a fun. Yeah, but we were able to play there. We played there twice, and so we sort of made an excuse to go there and see the Northern Lights. Sit out there and try to wait for aliens to come. But then the town itself literally feels like, what if all these art elites just bought a town. Instead of buying a house, they bought a whole town, and then just create every art gallery and every gas station and every little nook and cranny.
Well, that sounds really cool.
Yeah.
Now they've explained the Marfa lights, right? They've explained what the ghost lights are, right? It's some kind of gas thing.
Yeah. We didn't see anything. We just kind of went up there, but it was part of just participating in the thing. Like, are you seeing it now? We kind of laid out on the hood of the van, just waiting for something to happen. While you're sort of coming down after the show anyway. No, nothing happened, but it was worth it. It was something to do. That it's that twilight hour between playing a show and going to bed, usually where we drive 2 hours out of town, but they were putting us up in the town of Marfa. So we kind of just kicked rocks for a while on the side of the highway, waiting for something to happen.
That's cool.
But so San Francisco is where, Altamont started there. And then the songwriting process. I mean, how do you feel like comparatively writing songs? How involved are you in the songwriting process for the Melvins versus obviously for your own projects? I mean, I can imagine the obvious things of one writing everything, but when you work with Buzz, what is that like?
I mean, he has so much stuff, and he writes stuff all the time. So I haven't really written that much stuff for the Melvins, Okay. The Bit is one song that I did write. And then there's a couple maybe newer things, but I mean, his stuff is, I have my hands full with the drums.
Okay.
With that stuff, which is fine, and I never felt like, I need to write songs for this band or whatever, But I mean, I think I started doing a lot more of that when.
So I think we might have frozen. Let's see.
I froze.
Oh, we froze for a second. Yeah, I think you're back. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I was just saying. You got me?
Yep, I got you.
Okay, sorry about that.
All good.
I was just saying that I think that I started writing songs when we did our first EP. I really got into the Kiss EPs.
Oh yes,
I should clarify that. Around that time, I think that was like early 90, 91, something like that. I got a 4-track. And I think that kind of helped with doing that whole thing, just kind of experimenting and then writing songs, and I got really into it for a while, Like I did that EP, and it wasn't too long after that I formed Altamont with these guys, and we just started writing a lot more stuff, but definitely the 4-track helped.
Awesome. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah,
for sure.
I'm thinking here, maybe if we turn off our cameras, do you see there's a little cam button there that might help with our connectivity, just so we can.
Yeah.
Boom, there we go. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Is that any better for you?
Oh.
Can you hear me?
How are we doing?
Hello.
Is it working better?
Can you hear me? I can hear you fine. Can you hear me okay?
It got muted.
Oh, it's reconnecting.
Check
Reconnecting. Yeah, I can hear you, but hey, Dan, we keep getting this.
I'm back on just to see.
Hello. My internet's not.
Oh, there we go.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
I don't know.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I'm staying at a Airbnb in the I put a new pod in there. Can you hear me?
Yep. Yeah, I got you now. Yep. Can you hear me now?
The Wi-Fi. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, cool.
I've been able to hear you the whole time,
okay,
but for whatever
okay.
reason, the Wi-Fi's screwing up here.
Oh,
so
no worries.
My apologies.
It's all good. Yeah, we just got. We'll just do another 10-15 minutes if that's all right.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So 4-track writing, and then so I guess so when you say Buzz has songs in his head, so he's coming in with full songs written and asking you just to put down drum parts to it, or is it a back and forth? Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me?
Check. I can hear you. Yep. Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can.
Okay. Oh, I was just circling back to the writing process with Melvins. Is it a thing where he'll ask like, "What do you think of this bridge? What do you know? Does the song need something here?" And you're trading ideas back and forth, or is he pretty much 100% written?
Sometimes he'll come in with something that's done, and then, but then we'll do a lot of jamming on stuff.
Yeah,
and just like he's really good at cutting the fat in songs.
Yeah.
But he's like a riff master. He always has something to play.
Yeah.
He's never had any kind of writer's block or anything like that.
Yeah.
Just I would imagine he has like. I know one time he said to me that he had enough riffs and stuff on tape that if he never wrote a single thing again, that we probably could make records forever.
That's incredible.
So I'm sure there's stuff that I would think is really good that he's probably just like,
He's already edited it out. He doesn't even bring it to the table.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he always says that he has to like play to kind of like weed through the bullshit to get to something that he thinks is good. So
to get to the good stuff.
I've learned a lot. Can you hear me?
Yeah. What about? Oh yeah, I can hear you. Yeah. And then what about for your own songwriting? Is that similar to how you write as well? Like you sort of
kind of. Usually I'll play. Usually I'll play. I'll do the same. Play something, and if I come up with something that I like, and it sticks in my head, or if I keep remembering it, then I know that I have something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not too long ago, I got a.
Sorry.
I was just saying, not too long ago, I got a digital 8-track.
Ooh, yeah.
Like an update of my cassette 4-track, and that really helped with the song. Again, it's kind of like almost like recording 4-track demos.
Yeah.
I started doing stuff on the 8-track, and that's kind of how I wrote this whole last record.
That's great. And are you playing drums to it as well on the 4-track, or is it mostly just guitar? So
yes.
Everything. And then on the record, you play everything as well?
I do, except for guest stars here and there.
Gotcha. And then just this is kind of nerdy, but just for my own curiosity, it's almost like a Prince, like the artist Prince, where like in those early records just played everything. Like, do you start with like a click with a scratch guitar and then go back and then layer from drums, bass, guitar, backup vocals?
Exactly.
Okay.
That's funny because when I first started doing 4-track demos like a long time ago, I always figured I had to do the drums first because I needed something to play to,
Sure.
And so that was always harder because I had to like memorize the song. Mm-hmm. And sometimes the songs would change because I'd missed a part. Trying to do it from memory.
Yep.
And then I realized way later, like, wait, I just play guitar first and then play to that. And it doesn't really matter if it's like, I can follow myself easy enough. So
right, yeah, your own thing. But will you put a click on to keep the guitar sort of going, or no? I imagine you're
now I do, yeah.
Okay.
Now I do. Even on the digital 8-track, it has a click built in.
Yeah.
So it's so easy. It's like it's even easier than using the cassette 4-track because you can almost not mess it up.
Yep.
It's really great. It's such an easy tool. I even bought Buzz. I bought Buzz one.
Oh.
I'm like, this is really great because he used to have the cassette 4-track too.
Sure.
It's like outdated at this point, and I don't think either of us really got into Pro Tools or anything like that. Like once we started working with Toshi, there was kind of no need because he's so good at it.
Yeah.
But for doing, when I was at home, I would just like, if I was writing riffs or coming up with parts or whatever, I just used my phone to record stuff on.
Yeah.
That replaced the little Walkman,
the micro cassette thing. Yeah, like
right,
like Twin Peaks,
and so
taking memo notes.
Totally. And so the Tascam digital 8-track, it's so small and it's so easy to use, and and that really reinvigorated me for songwriting and just made it so much easier.
That's great.
And the last year and a half or whatever, I just kind of went on a big songwriting kick and got inspired, and
that's great. And you're putting down the guitar, the bass, and then guitar melodies. Do you have a 2-guitar setup when you play live?
For me, I mean, the band has 2 guitars. I play guitar and sing, and then I also have like a stand-up drum kit that I play on as well.
Cool.
So, and there's a drummer.
Yeah.
Her name's Mindy Jorgensen, and then Toshi plays guitar and keyboards and any other kind of weird instrument that I could get him to play, like electric ukulele.
Yeah. Awesome.
He's not going to play that on this run, but he has played it in the past.
Super cool. And then are you teaching them the parts, or you just kind of give them the record and they know it all? They can just listen to it and figure out the parts.
They go off and learn stuff on their own.
Yeah.
Which is great because they come in and are really super prepared.
They know the songs better than you. They're correcting you like, no, that's only 4 times on this one, to 5 times.
We kind of had our first rehearsal, just with Mindy and Dan. Dan hasn't played with us in the past. I mean, though he and I have played together for like well over 20 years. No, 30. Sorry.
Update that for another decade to the pile.
I know. Yeah. But he didn't play in the solo band like Steve McDonald played.
Yeah.
And, it's only because like Dan still lives in the Bay Area and I'm down here. And so Steve kind of bowed out from doing stuff for now just because Redd Kross has been so busy.
Full, yeah. He's got a book,
he does,
a movie,
and
a record.
Yeah, there's so much going on. So I was like, that's cool, I understand. And like I immediately called Dan. And Dan also, like, I mean, he and I have written songs in the past, and he and I wrote a couple of the songs on this record. So
amazing.
Just he really wanted to do it, and he'd kind of been playing in a band in San Francisco and parted ways with them recently, but that kind of got him the itch to like really want to play in a band again. So
there you.
But anyway,
he got the band. He got the job. He was free.
Yeah, he did. He did a really great job at learning all the songs and working really hard on it. So
the bass sounds great on this record. I've heard the first 3 singles. I Quit was the latest one, that Spoiled Daisies, and then Doug Yule Tide.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Thanks. I played bass on all these.
Super cool. Yeah, really separate. I mean, just and then from Fickle Finger Fate and Rat-a-Tat, it feels like this is probably, again, I've always hated this. I'm being on the other side of this, but like it's a very clean record. And I know no one ever sets out to make a clean record, but it sounds great.
You mean like just clean in tone
sonically? Yes, yeah. Like everything's very like there's a big separation. Like the drums are pretty wide, mixed wide. I guess it's more in mixed notes, I would say, but but it sounds great. I love the kind of the evolution of the releases that you've had. Where I think
thanks. I mean, I think even guitar tone.
Oh, sorry, yeah, guitar tone.
Just saying guitar tone wise. I mean, I found a Strat in a thrift store.
There you go. It doesn't get cleaner than
and
that.
I think that kind of changed things a little bit. There's heavy guitar, but there's there was a lot of like cleaner tones.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I think it just kind of fit the songs I was writing,
Yeah.
And, the Melvin stuff is so heavy. I was just kind of trying to do something a little bit different,
Sure.
Like have it be clean, but still heavy.
Yeah. Well, I love the Fickle Finger. There was a lot of kind of pop sensibilities, a lot of 60s and 70s kind of power pop sort of feel to that record.
Yeah. I mean, even yeah, for sure.
It was great. And the acoustic stuff. I mean, there's the kind of big wide open mix on a lot of those songs too.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of just realized. I mean, I was writing those songs and I didn't really know what they were for. I mean, they could easily be for Melvins or whatever, but it was just they're a little different.
Yeah.
Different in style.
Great.
So with Melvins, we're not afraid to do anything.
Yeah.
Try anything or whatever.
Yeah, no, I've noticed. I've noticed the last 10 years in seeing the Melvins. The fun factor. Not that you guys weren't having fun before, but it just seemed like the smiles, and maybe there's a Steven Muppet, on stage sort of factor.
Sure.
There's a lot of bouncing, a lot of big smiles on stage from all 3 of you.
That's definitely Steven for sure. Yeah. Steven brings the smiles.
Yeah.
He's always been like the happiest guy on stage, Which,
but it's hard.
There's a funny story, when Redd Kross first played in the Northwest, and they were very much liked. And when the Neurotica record came out, everybody in the Northwest was totally into them and loved them, and just freaked out on that record. They played a big show in Tacoma, and the Nirvana guys were there, and it was kind of like they were kind of first starting out, and they weren't even called Nirvana yet, but I remember running into those guys, and they're like, why are these guys so happy? You know? I'm like, I don't know, Southern California good vibes, man. I don't really know, but they're really good, you know, and you're probably just a little jealous right now.
Oh,
and you know, I mean, it was funny because, I mean, you know, and those guys really liked that. But I told that story in the documentary, and then also to Steven, and he was kind of almost like, I don't know that he was bummed or just like, you know, self-conscious maybe a little bit, you know. And I'm like, no, it's just, you know,
it's not a
you
bad
are
thing.
super, like, you know,
being
the happiest guy to be there. But that inspired a Redd Kross song on their new record, so it's really funny. So I was you know,
that's great.
I was pretty excited that my story inspired a song on that record.
That's amazing. I think it was the
Which that record is really good, by the way.
Oh, it's incredible. Yeah, no, I've heard. And then you played record, you played on that as well. You played drums.
I did not.
You did not.
I did not play on the new Redd Kross record. No, it was Josh Klinghoffer.
Oh, okay. But you're in the band for the tour, the touring drummer.
I was in the band. I helped them work on a bunch of demos, but then I I mean, I guess this is pretty much known. I had to have a back operation, spine operation.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah.
So.
How was that?
So that sidelined me for a little while. Well, I'm back, so it worked.
Yeah, you're on the right side of the dirt.
Yep, it was almost a year ago. I did a lot of work to get back, and you know, I kind of started playing drums as soon as I could, just to get back to it. You know,
that's great.
Get to no pun intended there.
Well, yeah, it's like,
I mean that
those jokes we asked the doctor, like, well, can I play the violin? Like, did you play it before? No. Like, well, you can play it.
Yeah,
yeah. You come back stronger than ever.
Right.
That's incredible.
Yeah. I'd have a lot of downtime, and I'd already had a bunch of songs written, but I wrote a bunch more while I was sitting around healing.
That's great.
Because I could play. I'm like, I can't play drums, but can I play guitar? And they're like, yeah, you can play guitar.
Okay.
It's like, all right, good.
Here comes here comes the next record. It's coming down the pike.
Yep.
And yeah, it's incredible. I mean, I've played in bands and done solo stuff. I always, at some point, there's always like the sort of the crushing weight of like, is any of this any good? Like, is that part of your creative process where you just feel like chucking the whole thing out? I guess I'm asking this for personal reasons, because I feel like I've chucked more songs than I've kept.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm not sure about this, but then I just kind of don't worry about what other people will think,
sure.
And I have to like it.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. You have to be your own cheerleader. Just pump yourself up. And be like, screw it. Yeah, this is great.
But thank you on the bass playing too. I was going to say about that. That you know, I really worked harder on that than I normally do, because
it comes through.
Usually,
those three singles that are up sound incredible. I love the bass on the technical side. Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, I just like usually. I mean, the last two records I had Steve play on it, and so he's such a great bass player. So I kind of just let him handle that, you know. But I mean, I guess I have been playing bass. I've been playing bass for a long time too, you know, and then I do play bass in the 1983 version of the Melvins.
That's amazing.
So I really like playing bass. Sometimes I'll write songs on bass, you know.
That's cool. What do you have a particular bass that you play? Do you have a bass you own?
The one that I used on the record is it's a Most Right copy called a Wilson.
Okay.
It's like a Ventures authorized bass that Dan actually gave me.
That's cool.
So, and it sounds really cool.
It's incredible. Yeah, it sounds so low. It sounds so deep and low on the recordings. I would think like a Monster maybe would be a little bit higher or tinnier, but that's you guys dialed it in. Got some kind of real low end on it.
Oh, thank you.
That's huge. Well, I've kept you for this long. I know you have more shows to go play and more songs to write.
and more interviews to do too.
I'm sure, yes, of course. Yeah, well, it's really been a pleasure. I'm glad. I forgot to. Yeah, Stephen was another one that you should talk to Dale. I had Stephen on the show a while back. I met him through Off and through those things.
Oh yeah, cool.
And I feel like
nice to meet you, Randy.
It's very good to meet you. Yeah, I feel like we've circled around. We both headlined a festival 2 years ago. I think we were the Saturday night headliners and you were the Sunday night headliners of some big festival at the Highland or at the Lodge Room. I forget what that was called.
Right.
Flaming Tongue or something.
Ours was right around.
It was a Halloween.
Halloween.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I played the show in a giant shark outfit that I wear for my kids' birthday parties. I was like, it's Halloween.
Nice.
Come on, let's come out. And I felt more free in the costume. I was like, I might have to bring this costume out on more shows, not just Halloween.
Oh, funny.
Yeah. It's been a pleasure chatting. The new record.
Yeah, you too.
How do you pronounce it? Glossolalia? That's how I've been saying.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah.
What is there a story behind that? Is there a?
It's just like it's the technical term for speaking in tongues.
Ooh, I love it.
So
that's great.
Yeah.
and Doug Yule, it's so I've been obsessed with that sort of that late era VU thing. It seemed like he really took over the band, right? I mean, there's that last record. It was like the Doug Yule show, like no original members.
Yeah, no, there's no Lou Reed. There's no anybody besides him, right?
Oh my god!
So, I mean, that song, it's like, to me, it sounded like Velvet Underground, and it was around Christmas time when we recorded that, and perfect. I'm like, oh, just call it Doug Yuletide, thinking that I would change it, but then I didn't.
It's great. It's great. I love one of my favorite Velvet's records is the Live in '69, the double.
Oh, cool.
One. And I can never tell. Was he on those? I would imagine, just based on the timeline, that he would be there.
I think so.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure. Does that one? I don't know if Mo Tucker's in the band on that one. Don't they have like a more regular sounding drummer?
Pretty regular sounding drums. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think she was playing with him.
It's the two shows. It's like Houston and San Francisco. It's like cut out of two live shows from '69. But it's even like Velvet Underground with Lou Reed is how it's credited officially as the artist name.
Okay.
So it's not. It was like one of those things. It was not. Maybe they put out that last one like, well, do we have anything else with Lou laying around? You know, can we like highlight? Lou?
I'm not sure. So I wonder. Yeah. I wonder if
Sterling.
I wonder if Sterling Morrison was in the band by that point, but I'm not sure.
Right? Yeah, so. But it's one of my favorite. I mean, there's some of the renditions, or the arrangements. You know, they have the one side that's just like the 3 long songs, like Heroin, Ocean, and then another song got it. But it's just like three song long side of a 33 LP.
Yeah,
to just stretch out, and it's like, wow, this is what a fun live band. At least whatever version.
Yeah, I wish they would have. I wish they would have played shows in the U.S. when they reformed.
Right, for the what did the one in the Czech Republic.
Yeah, I think they just did shows in Europe.
Yeah,
which seems weird that they wouldn't play like major cities in the U.S. Because I'm sure. I mean, it would have been. People would have been totally into it.
Right? Especially even at that time would have been huge. That was the early '90s.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah, we played a few festivals with Lou solo, and it was always such a crapshoot of what kind of show is going to be.
Really,
depending on kind of where his energy was at. This was we did Lollapalooza. I don't know when that was, 2008 or 2009, 2010, somewhere in there. And
wow,
yeah, I mean he's very prickly from stage. It was I felt like at the time it was like this is somewhere between like Morrissey and like I don't know, and it was just Lou. It was like Lou being Lou kind of thing, but it's fun.
Do you know Danny Frankel, the drummer?
No, I don't know him personally, but yeah.
Oh, he's kind of he's played with a bunch of people, but he played with Lou Reed, and he lives out kind of near me, and I saw him and I mean I've known him for a long time, but I finally was like, oh, I wanted to ask you, like, what was it like playing with Lou Reed? And he's like, oh, it was great. I really loved it, and I really liked him a lot. So I was like, oh, that's great.
That's good to know. Cool to he was good to the musicians. Yeah. He seemed like he was kind of a dick to everyone else. But at least he treated the band good. You can respect that. That's a girl. Oh, no, I was going to ask.
I also had to ask, we toured with this band, Taipei Houston, which are they're two brothers, and their dad is Lars Ulrich from Metallica. And I'm like, I really liked that Lulu record, and they were telling me about being around it. They were around during the recording.
Oh, how funny! Did they have good Uncle Lou stories?
They thought it was really cool. So
That's incredible. I could just imagine him in the kitchen, at the studio making coffee, telling him, well, then there's this time I had this woman's fist up my ass and I was nodding off. Hey kids, come closer. You're going to hear the rest of the way the story ends. I love bedtime stories with Uncle Lou.
Right.
Did you ever meet Anton Fig? Speaking of drummers,
no, I never did.
Oh my god, we played the Letterman show, and I was so nervous just to be able just doing that, but I knew the band, Paul's band is legendary.
Oh, cool.
And
right.
So I was like, I got to take the, obviously, I'm not going to, we didn't get a chance to really talk to Dave, but the band is there setting up, while we're sound checking, doing all that stuff, and they're much more approachable than the host.
Yeah.
And I asked Anton about playing on the Ace Frehley solo record. That's where I knew.
Oh, cool.
And he's like, "Oh yeah."
Exactly.
And then, but he's like, "Yeah." I mean, he's like, he'd also played on other Kiss records. What's the one after that? With the disco.
Yeah, he played on Dynasty and Unmasked.
Yeah. But it was, I don't know, but
Can you hear me?
Yeah, he was just, he was so cool. He said he loved doing it. He said it was fun. It was an easy job. It wasn't hard to do. He seemed to, and then he wanted to talk about playing with Joe Bonamassa now. He's like, yeah, I'm touring with Joe Bonamassa.
Oh yeah.
This guy does great. He's like, you know him? And at the time I didn't know him. I wasn't, it wasn't on my radar. He's like, you don't know Joe Bonamassa? And then he kind of just chastised me for not being into this blues legend. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. I just wanted to talk about Kiss. Sorry.
Yeah. No, he's no Ace Frehley. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, incredible. Well, Dale, thanks so much. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you.
And,
yeah.
Good luck on the
talk
road.
Again sometime.
And yeah, hopefully I'll catch you on the road.
Right on. And nice to talk to you.
Eek. I'm such a fanboy. I'm such a nerd. I'm sure it came across in everything I was saying. Like, so like, you remember that one time? I'm very Chris Farley in that Paul McCartney interview. But hey, I survived. I can't quite tell what it is. I think I, try to come off cool, calm, collected. And the nerd in me just is jumping out of my skin sometimes. So I appreciate everybody getting to this point in the interview. If you survived that interview and didn't die of embarrassment a million times over, then I thank you. And I appreciate you listening. Yeah, this is a fun opportunity. I really appreciate people listening and hanging out while I nerd out. And it's fun. It's definitely something I've always wanted to do. So I'm glad I finally get to do it. And instead of being afraid, like, oh, no, they don't want to talk to me. I don't know. Like, fuck it. Invite one on the podcast. Talk to them for an hour. See what happens. See if your head explodes. My head exploded a little bit that day. But I was very, very happy and very thankful for Dale to take the time to come on, share some of his time from his busy schedule. Thank you, Dale. I appreciate it. Everybody go by glossolalia. He said that's the official word for speaking in tongues. That sounds fun. I'll take his word for it. I have not researched it. But you can get your copies at Joyfull Noise Recordings.com. They have all the other Dale Crover records there as well. There's a hot pink vinyl edition that looks like it's a lot of fun. It matches the pink on the cover design. And then you can also go to dalecrover.bandcamp.com to find out more info on the record and to buy more versions of that record and his past solo records as well. Even looks like they got links to all the Melvins records there on Bandcamp. Hallelujah. They did it. It's great. And then you can go see Dale on tour with his own band. Those dates might have been wrapped up or wrapping up soon, but they also he will be out on the road with Redd Kross, with Jeff, brother, and Steve McDonald. Yeah, go see him. Dale's out there every night killing himself on on the stage, whether it's behind the drum kit or on the microphone with the guitar, and giving everything he's got every night for you, the audience. So go see him. Do yourself the favor. Go catch him with Redd Kross or with the Melvins or with his own Dale Crover Band. You will not be disappointed.
all my money was spent on drums, so I didn't really have a good guitar.